Alright, what's going on, people? Welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, brought to you over by Capcom for review, walkthrough, and live streaming purposes. Sorry about the delay. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes today that I'm not going to bring up on this stream, but let's just say today is a horrible day.
I'm having a nice day, Luke.
Okay.
Everyone in the chat is having a nice day.
Anyway, so today we continue where we left off yesterday.
Grumpy K-Wing.
Yeah. I believe we had a Frenchie and an Italian person.
Special thanks to Capcom for providing a copy of this game. Woo woo! Thank you, Capcom. You're breathtaking. Special thanks to everyone hanging out, starting the hype train over there with Droggle and everybody. Special thanks to you guys for watching, and don't forget to check our newsletter because you'll get notified of all of our awesome videos. Great to see you guys in the chat. OH, Droggle, Majolf, I think. BG Shine.
BG Shine.
Rebecca is here. Christina. Total Spies! And everyone hanging out here. Thanks so much, guys, for hanging out here. Tara and Grace, you've been here every episode. You're breathtaking, Tara and Grace.
Perfect attendance. All right.
Tara and Grace gets a perfect attendance award. And I'm going to give out some more perfect attendance awards to, I think, OH, Droggle, and some more of you guys, VG. Some of you guys. I'm going to give some attendance awards out. Alright, let's do this!
Some more stuff out.
Yeah, it's happening, Luke.
Okay, alright. The truth is, we took him prisoner and kept him in the night for our secret hideout. Okay, where's your secret hideout? Do you realize what you're saying? Oh, you have to believe me. I never... he's supposed to be French.
Simons is here!
You have to believe. I never intended for that to happen. I'm sure the detective did not intend for it either. Do you think? But there was nothing else I could do. There you go, Amber.
Golki is here. Leroy is here. Judd is here. All of you guys are here. Awesome. Great to see you guys.
Amber.
See? Nothing is. This was the first time the couple, he was at the end of his weeds.
I have told you before, Peppo, that is not the way to describe a criminal mastermind. What about this hideout of yours? An old empty house behind the park on Lime Street?
We've rented the place for 2 days. It was inspired idea by the couple here.
Ah, an impulsive idea, I would say.
No, not impulsive, inspired. A couple?
What am I supposed to say to that, Peppino? And, it was in this house you described that you can find Inspector Gregson, wasn't it? Oui. But you have to remember, I had under the impression that it was a pretender, not a real inspector. That doesn't quite add up, though. If you didn't think the man was a real inspector, there would have been no reason to take him prisoner, would there? But why did they kill him? No, you are right, but we couldn't be completely certain. Even though I did think he was a real detective, I was too scared to let him go that day, just in case.
Hold it!
Ookies. Why? Whoa, I didn't mean to do that. Too scared, why? Because! Why'd he come to the park? We did not know. There was a chance he'd come and seen through my plan. Whoops.
And if that was the case, he would go straight to the police station to blow the whistle on us. Even if he was just feigning to be an inspector, he was up to no good, without a doubt.
I think most people would agree that it's you two who were up to no good.
Well, see, you may be right. couple?
The point is, we are not able to escape from England immediately. That is why we had no choice but to take the man prisoner. What I don't understand is why the inspector felt the need to show you his identification in the first place.
Sir, I asked the same question.
We were writing down the names and addresses of all the people who we took the 5 shillings from that day. I had forgotten what names said, but the addresses, it startled me.
Sir, address, Scotland Yard, Homicide Division, he said.
What? He probably didn't like your face, Peppino. Anyway, I was not rude. I asked politely why he said that. And that's when he started to say he was an inspector. Not long afterwards, he took out his identification. What was the Inspector Gregson playing at? Tell the court what happened next. You took him away to your hideout, you say?
Sir,
Yeah, Struggle got chosen by the kitty. Promoter hype.
Yeah, Zelda's right there.
sir, we did. We took as a man's identification from him and shot him in the room next to ours.
That being this identification book here, correct?
Sir, that is the one.
What made you believe that it was a forgery?
I never seen or heard of one, of course, but it was so suspicious, this man. Laura, I was thinking it must be false, so a couple?
Oui, it is just as you said, Peppino. We were convinced it was not genuine.
And together, the hilarious brothers, we took the man captive.
All we did was shove him inside a locker room. Then we made the preparations to transport all the money. In for a penny, in for a pound, huh? I guess. There might have been a little tussle, but we did him no harm, and the next morning we let him go.
It doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't
because
sound like
he's
Gregson.
dead.
Yeah.
He was dead the
What do you
next
mean
morning.
by little tussle exactly? It was nothing, just a minor incident.
The false inspector, he was a real piece of the work. A couple?
What happened?
Oof, it was a disaster. We gave him a nicer room, and what does he do? In the middle of the night, he tries to escape through the ventilator.
Can you blame him? You imprisoned the guy. We chased him, and we caught up to him again.
Can you blame us?
Wait, you didn't. You shot the man in your haste, did you? Is that what you think we are? Of course not. I simply caught up again and took him back to the room. Did you now?
Excuse me.
Mr. DeRossi, or whatever. Something wrong?
Me?
Yeah. Something, Mr. Russo, is it Russo?
Russo. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's Russo.
like Russo from Friends?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Something Mr. DeRusso just said seemed to make you, well? It seemed to make you act even more strangely than usual. What was that all about?
Whose name is Russo on Friends?
I don't know.
Wait, one of the characters?
Cavallo! At times like that, you don't want to have a couple after you, believe me. And I speak from personal experience.
Personal experience, huh?
The only reason... Oh, go ahead.
That is enough, Peppino. There's no need to say anymore.
The only reason I can read Italian pretty good is because of my music stuff.
I know.
The truth is, the night before we put the red-headed league back into action, I was scared. And it was not fair to the couple, but they tried to run away.
It's not a shame. It's a shame you didn't manage it.
But the couple here, he came after me like the turbine. Eh?
Okay, now after I said that, I'm messing it up.
He dragged me back to the house, kicking and screaming.
Okay.
I still have the bruises to prove it. A couple?
Bruises, you say?
Ah, you wanted to see? Huh? You wanted to see my fantastical bruises?
Where are they?
That is enough now, Peppino. No one wants to look at any part of you.
I don't know if I want to see this.
No.
What to do? I assure you, or I don't, or I assure you, or I don't.
That's enough. You do now.
Oh my gosh, no, Kazuma.
Allora, if everybody wanted to see, then I do it. Echo, you see? It is still a very visible eye.
That red string around your neck, you got that when you were dragged back to the house? Oh my gosh.
See, the couple, sometimes he is a very...
That is enough. Peppino's neck has nothing to do with this. What are you talking about there? You have my word?
His friend did that to him?
Yes, what is your opinion, Counsel? About this red ring around Mr. De Rossi's neck. I wonder, does it matter?
Well, that other guy had the red ring around his neck.
Yeah, I'd say it's important. We'll go with that.
Also, he's kind of hurting his friend.
Yeah. Mr. De Rossi.
Friend abuse.
I'm going to have to ask you to clarify about this friend abuse. Amend your testimony with the details about that mark on your neck, please.
A couple, you see? Everyone is interested in what I say, huh?
Yeah. All right, then. Very well. You will now amend your testimony as requested, Mr. De Rossi.
See, if you really want to know...
Just be quiet and do it again.
He tried to escape, but the couple put a collar on him and they dragged him back like what he did to me, you see?
Okay. Are you saying the red mark was caused by...
See, a big colore made from the leather.
Huh?
A leather collar?
A leather collar? Is this true? What? Saint Bernard at me when I was younger? It is a souvenir from that time with a very strong chain. A strong chain? And you put that around your friend's neck? I'm sorry, I was angry at him for leaving me alone.
You did not have to tie the chain to the leg of a bed, though. I would not have tried to run again.
You didn't do that to Inspector Gregson as well, did you?
Treat up the people equal. It is the couples here motive, eh?
Starting to sound a lot more like prison all of a sudden.
The couple is tough, but the couple is rough.
What? I shouldn't have done it. So, the following morning when you released the inspector...
He had the red ring around his neck, just like me.
Who do we remember with a weird mark on his neck? Peppino is leave it alone now. I think it's what he said.
S'il vous plaît, leave it alone. Yeah. I think that means please. I don't know. I'm just guessing here.
Yeah.
No, you know, the couple, you don't want to tangle with him, but for the inspector, it's not so bad.
Okay.
You spent the night in a nice room. It was nothing like a prison. Really,
about that. Try this one.
He tried to escape, but the couple put a collar on him and dragged him back. Like, what did he do to me? See?
Maybe we have to present one of the characters. Maybe we can use people as evidence. Can we use other people as evidence? We can use.
I mean,
how can we? Don't we go through the court record and then? Aren't there like the other people in the court record? Like all the people that are involved in the case?
Where's... I just have a feeling that we need to... Where is that stupid picture of... Ah, there he is. That's him.
He doesn't have a red ring.
Yeah, so this is not the man then. Let's try that. So the day before his body was discovered and Inspector Gregson was taken prisoner while working incognito, you say? No, it was not like that. It was hardly a prison. It was a invitation stay. It was only. However you describe it, there's one glaring inconsistency that remains. What inconsistency is that, Consul? Well, I would ask the court to look closely at this photo of the victim, Inspector Gregson. I don't want to see that photo. You will see there is no red ring visible around his neck.
Eh? But that makes no sense. It wasn't me who took the collar off the man in the morning. And I saw the red bruises on his neck, just like I have.
Given that the mark is still clearly visible on this witness's neck, we'd expect to see bruising on the victim who was put in the collar more recently than Mr. DeRossi.
Yep.
DeRossi. Indeed, that is peculiar.
You can say it whichever way you want, babe.
Meh.
But what do we tell you,
That's because you're cute. You can get away with anything.
Uh-huh.
We said this from the beginning, many times.
Oui, Peppino is right. The man in the photograph is someone different to the man we captured that night. Oh, I think I know who it was. The other person who had that red ring around his neck, that weird, you mentioned it too. The witness from the previous trial, yeah. Order right now. It would appear then that on the day before the incident, the man who visited the park on Lime Street posing as an incognito inspector was not Inspector Gregson at all.
Yeah, that's right, Drago. Gossip was the guy's name. Yep.
Yes, that's true. However, how do you explain the inspector's identification?
Yep. OH says Gossip, the loose lip.
This is a genuine identification book based on Scotland Yard. It's inconceivable that someone could have stolen such an important item from the inspector. The prosecution made that assertion itself. Ugh.
And we also know that the inspector had made a note about the Red-Headed League in his diary for that day, which surely means we can't divorce the two events completely.
The inconsistencies noted by the defense is most troubling indeed. If it were the real inspector whom these two red-headed gentlemen encountered, the fact that no bruising could be seen around his neck defies explanation. But equally, if they actually encountered an impostor, how did that person come to be in possession with the real inspector's identification? Does the defense have a plausible explanation, Consul? The whole thing defies explanation.
It is for precisely these occasions that we keep meticulous notes in the court record, Mr. Naruhodou.
That's true.
Because these are the facts, and facts cannot lie.
No, the facts cannot lie. Even when they point to something so incredible, it's almost unbelievable. Well, my lord, the true identity of the person who turned up in the park for the Red-Headed League's enrollment is revealed by information in the court record, I believe. Good gracious! Very tantalizing, Mr. Naruhodou. So why don't you help us to see whether the truth is that you've apparently seen? Who exactly was the inspector that appeared before these two idiots? An impostor. Though it seems incredible, I admit, the undeniable facts point to one thing only. Since no bruising could be seen on the victim's neck, the person who these two red-headed men took prisoner that they cannot have, the day that cannot have been Inspector Gregson. Yes, in other words, your whole argument up to now has been a waste of time.
Whatever,
No,
Cosmo.
objection. On the contrary, I haven't finished yet. What? I have a dizzying intellect. It takes a while. There's no bruising on the victim's neck, so the question immediately posed next is, who exactly was this man in the park on Lime Street found carrying Inspector Gregson's papers?
See, that's right. We tell the same story every time. Whoever this man was, the couple dragged him from a pillar to a post with a dog color.
Monsieur Pepino, it was not so harsh as you say? So the... Oh, well,
So, who was that? The false inspector, eh? Who was he?
clearly, the defense has an idea about that. But the identity of the man these two imprisoned that night, who is it? I must ask the counsel for the defense to elaborate post-haste. Who did the witness encounter in the park posing as Inspector Gregson?
Alright, Ethan, OH, and
I definitely think it's
Tara
gossip.
and Drago all say gossip.
Goodness me, isn't that? One of the witnesses who was in the stand in this very courtroom earlier today. A nameless man whose only occupation appears to be peddling hearsay to passerbys.
Objection!
What on earth would a street seller be doing with a police inspector's identification papers? Witness! Is this the witness? Oh, jeez. Witnesses, is this the man or not? What has happened to his lip? Huh?
See, this man is another red-headed Lee guy. He is looking for the twisted lip league, no?
Perhaps rather than making such a rash claim next time, you should bite your lip instead. It seems improbable, yes, but one undeniable fact remains. During his testimony earlier, I noted something around the man's neck. A red ring of bruising. Eh? What? The defense demands that Mr. Gossip be brought back to the stand to testify once again. Because why not? Hold on! Bailiff, bring the aforementioned witness back into my courtroom. Immediately! Whoop. Here we go again. Ugh, that's disturbing. Well, I never. Undeniable ring of bruising indeed. And identical to that of the witness before him. What's going on here, right? I always had this mate. It's a birthmark, isn't it? A birthmark, you say? I assume the reason you've been recalled to the stand has been explained to you? Something about an inspector again or something? But I'm telling you, I got it all wrong as usual. You're denying all the knowledge of it, eh? Well, of course I am. Are you trying to kill me with all this nonsense, eh? Well, at least you'll have more stories to peddle back on Fresno Street, won't you? Now, we're going to need you to testify again. And Mr. De Russo and Mr. De Rossi, I'm sure you all cooperate, won't you? We have any choice? No.
We are in a big trouble, eh, couple?
Yeah,
That's quite enough. Chatter between the likes of you. Proceed with the testimony immediately. Another statement. This one is called the witness testimony. The inspector and the identification revisited. Number 3. Or is it 4 now? The man who claimed to be the inspector was definitely not this man.
It's alright, see. You think we would forget these grand leaves, huh?
I never leave Fresno Street, alright? I've no interest in any red-headed lead. I'm all in the world, me. I'm no kinfolk or nothing. Why would I be involved in something like that? Just look at me, eh? Does it look like I could carry off a disguise with a face like this, eh?
Before you got punched, maybe.
Yeah, somebody had to punch him. It would certainly appear that we have the wrong man. What have I been telling you, huh? There was no need for this pointless testimony?
No, it's him.
That's right, I'm just a little peddler, remember? Fresno Street's all I know. How would I have come by a police inspector's identification book, eh? Well, yes, that's hard to explain. But, brief cross-examination, I think, Consul. Very, very brief. Isn't there anyone in this courtroom who thinks I might be onto something?
Oh,
Susie.
I stand steadfastly at your side as always, Mr. Naruhodo.
A brief examination. What does that mean? Cross-examination. A brief one. The inspector and the identification revisited. The man who claimed to be an inspector on that day was definitely not this man. I don't really care about questioning that one.
It's alright, see? You think we could forget that it's grand lives, huh?
The man who claimed to be an inspector that day was definitely not this man. That's the first one. That's the second. What's the third one?
It's alright.
I'll never leave Fresno Street, alright? I've no interest in any red-headed league. Why are you blushing?
Yeah.
Oh wait, that's not a blush. He's got a bruise on his cheek, too.
Yeah.
So, you'd heard of the Red-Headed League, had you? You don't get a name like Gossip for nothing, eh? It's my business to know what's going on off in town. I sold a tasty little tidbit to a fair few redheads that came past me, yes. Just because even I got sandwich to cough up for it.
Well, he does have a very red nose, if that counts.
No, he's just cold. Who knows with Beppo? But as you can see, my own hair's got a hint of red in it. It does. And in any case, Fresno Street's my patch. You won't catch me sidling off to some other parts of town. Not likely.
I do not see any red in your hair, dude.
I don't see any red.
Excuse me.
Maybe one strand of red.
Mr. DeRusso, what's going on? Can I help you? Did Mr. Gossip's word just now lead you to remember something relevant, perhaps? It was the other day when I was looking for a place near the park, a small house or something? To be headquarters of your Red-Headed League? Yes. I visited an housing agent on Lime Street and there I saw him. This man was paying money to the agent. What? Mr. Gossip with a housing agent? Oui. He had some kind of contract in his hand, and there was clearly discussing terms. No, you're mistaken, chump. I never left Fresno Street, me. Like I said before, you're mistaking me for someone else. Someone with the same face, perhaps. You got
I don't know. The couple is alright. I remember it too. He was paying the man with the bank notes.
With notes? Like I said, that wasn't me.
I was curious why this man with the dirty clothes had so much money. So I looked at the name on the papers.
And what name was written, Mr. Gossip?
No. This man, he lies. He tells you that he has no name. But in fact, his name is Hugh Boone. Huh? It's better than the Mr. Gossip, I think. See?
No!
Hugh Boone, that's the name
Wait,
of the guy.
wait.
That's the person that was renting that apartment.
I'm a peddler of tidbits of information, like I said, on Fresno Street. That's that. I don't know much like folk talking about my personal life. Indeed. But where have I heard that name before? And it's not just the intention of the court to invade the privacy of the witnesses. Very well, I shall respect your wishes, Mr. Hugebone. The after-mentioned name shall be retracted from all court records of this trial, assuming no objections. Objection! I'm sorry, my lord, but the defense does object. Because the name just mentioned has a very deep significance to this case. Good gracious! Do you similarly object, Prosecutor Shogi? As it happens, my lord, that particular name has already been mentioned during today's proceedings.
Yes, it has.
Well, I never. In what capacity? The judge is an idiot.
Hugh Boone, Susato will explain it to him. The name of the leaseholder of the room!
Let me put it to you very simply, Your Honor. I'll use small words. The victim was discovered in this gentleman's rented room. Uh-oh. I suggest, sir, that you start talking. Well, all right. I suppose that might be the case, eh? Ooh. So your real name is Huge Boone? Boone?
Huge Boone? Hugh Boone?
Hugh Boone? Hugh Boone? Whatever. Well, just 'cause I don't like to blow me own trumpet, but there's no finer peddler of tidbits in town. So, hey, I happen to be able to afford a grubby little room and falling down back street town-wise. You do? What? Once every 6 months, I go and pay the rent to the agent on Lime Street. Aye, I remember now. There was 2 vulgar redheads in there last time.
Eh? If either of us is a vulgar, it's not me.
Think again, Pepino. Why didn't you bring this up before? It's like I already told you. I don't like talking about my personal life. I'm a tidbit peddler as far as everyone else is concerned. No fuss. This does not please me. You will update your testimony to include this most surprising revelation, Mr. Boone. Alright, whatever, if I must. So the leaseholder Scotland Yard has been looking for since the body was discovered has been here under our noses all along. Uh-oh. Oh, I rent the room where the fellow was found, it's true. For what difference it makes? That's a huge difference.
Yeah.
Hold it!
Excuse you. So, you live in that room presumably, do you? No, I don't live there. What do you think? There's no bed? Is there just a desk? Then, why would you want to rent it? Well, I don't think I should have to say, really. What? Then how about the notice board in there? Which was covered from top to bottom in confidential documents only the police would have access to. Nope. That board's not mine. The inspector must have brought it along with him. It's only other bits and bods that belong to me, the desk and the chair, and that. People don't generally carry enormous notice boards around with them. They would, stick out. The real question is, why was the Inspector Gregson killed there in your room? Hi. Well, obviously, I haven't gotten the faintest of ideas. I mean, it's causing me no end of bother, to be honest.
It seems to me that Mr. Gossip, I'm sorry, Mr. Boone, would rather as little is known about this room as possible for some reason.
Yeah, it does come across that way. And more importantly, knowing that the scene of the crime is actually his room completely changes things. In particular, there's one part of his testimony that really is bothering me now. That's how I'm finally gonna undo this man.
Susato is so cute.
What part of this man's testimony is bothering you, though?
I have no kinfolk or nothing. Why would I be involved? I was all alone in the world.
I'm alone, I have no kinfolk or nothing.
Why would he even say that? Why would that have anything to do with the case?
Wait, kinfolk?
Why would that make any difference if why would you murder somebody whether you have kinfolk or not?
Why was this found in your... That picture was found. That would be... kinfolk is like a term for like relationship with somebody, right? Like family, friends.
Is that a woman he had a relationship with?
Yeah, but also...
She's really pretty and rich, and he's, like, poor and not good looking. This doesn't make any sense.
Objection.
No offense.
He said that's his room. If you have no kinfolk, as you put it, then explain why this was among your furnishings. We found this photograph in your room. Oh, I presume as you've been renting the room that this photograph belongs to you, does it not? Oh, Mr. Boone, drop the pretense and tell the court exactly who you really are. I don't know what you mean. I'm a peddler. I keep telling you, so, I really don't... You really don't need to bother with me, please. Just leave it alone. Wait. As the man says. Leave it alone. Whatever the truth about this man's life, it has no bearing on this case.
Yes, it does.
Because it's simply not possible that he impersonated Inspector Gregson.
Oh my gosh, Luke.
Wait, that's...
Maybe that is her husband.
You think that's Vigil? Daily Vigil?
Maybe...
How can you be so sure of that?
Remember...
Just look at the man. No amount of disguise could ever hide those unmissable features.
Wait, the picture of him.
But what if we were to look at it another way around? What do you mean? Yes, Consul, what do you mean exactly? Well, there's no denying that Mr. Boone's lip is very prominent indeed. But consider the possibility that his prominent lip itself is part of an elaborate disguise. How would that...
Never mind, I was a little savage, that guy.
Yeah. Then hiding that prominent feature, in other words, revealing his true face, would make an utterly impenetrable disguise. I don't get this. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Hugh Boone? Boone? Ah! I'm lost. Good witness! Are you still hiding the truth from this court?
Okay, people in the chat are saying, remember, her husband was gone for a day.
Yeah.
And this guy was held overnight with that neck thing for a day.
That's true, yeah.
If that's a disguise, then underneath it, his true identity must be...
Yes, that's right. There's really only one person he could really be. My lord, the defense believes it can reveal Mr. Boone's true identity to the court. No, please, no.
Oh, wow.
Very well, Consul. I'm very curious. What is the true identity of this peddler who goes simply by the name of Gossip on the street?
It's her husband. That's her husband.
Yeah.
Mr. Daily.
Mr. Daily. Daily Vigil.
It doesn't even look like him, though.
That looks pretty similar. If his features weren't all messed up. Your real name is actually Mr. Vigil, isn't it? Mr. Daily Vigil. Yeah! I don't recall that name, Consul. Who is Mr. Vigil? It's a name I encountered yesterday, my lord. It has to do with a certain client of Herlock Sholmes. A young gentlewoman came to the detective asking him to locate her missing husband. The woman in this photograph, in fact, this is Miss Vigil. What? From what I understand, you haven't returned home since the night before the inspector was found dead. But of course, on that night, you were being held captive by the two red-headed league men. And last night, you were put up by the prosecution service in preparation for testifying in this trial. Because we'd been led to believe that you, Miss Venus, and Mr. Sandwich were all homeless. Being important witnesses in this case, we needed to know where we could find you, of course. And that explains why you're not... Wow. Sorry. That explains why you've not only been unable to return home, but also unable to contact your wife, who's been beside herself with worry waiting for you at the Vigil residence. Now, just hold on a moment. I don't have the first... What am I talking about? Really? No. It's simple enough to confirm my suspicions. All we have to do is pull off that ugly disguise. No, please. Bailiff, bring soap, a sponge, and a washbowl at once. Mr. Naruhodou, Mr. Dideroshi, you will restrain the witness. Oui, my lord.
Si, my lord. Oh, yes.
Whoa! No, stop! Get off!
I will restrain you.
Don't! Okay.
Wait, maybe his lips were fake? Oh no, it's real.
Nope, it was fake lips.
Oh my gosh.
That's him.
How did he disguise himself so well?
I don't know. That's a good question. Whoa, easy, Zo. Well then, we're now seeing your true features, I presume. He cleans up nice. Lift your head, sir, so the court can see your face. It would appear that the defense assertion was entirely correct. This has all been a very elaborate deception. So, witnesses, tell the court. Have you seen this man before? I don't believe it, but...
See, there is no question. This is the inspector with the bag.
Extraordinary! Does look like an inspector now. On the day of the Red-Headed League's enrollment, the man claiming to be Inspector Gregson who appeared before Mr. DeRosso and Mr. Rusi in the park was you, the disguised inspector, or rather, was you posing as the inspector in disguise at all? Mr. Vigil was formerly employed as the chief warder at the Barclay prison. The chief warder? Then your career had promise. Why would you why you would quite possibly have become the future governor of the prison? What on earth were you been peddling tittle-tattle on Fresno Street? Well, it's been 10 years since Mr. Vigil worked at the prison, Your Honor. 10 years? I'm really dreadfully sorry about all of this. Yes, it's true. I'm Daily Vigil. And you were the chief warder at the Barclay prison 10 years ago? So where did Mr. Hugh Boone come from? Boone is the other me. It's a name I invented. Well, evidently there is a great deal under the surface here. I'll explain everything. I'll tell you just how wretched my life has become. Okay.
I feel like he's sad.
You think he killed it? Or you think he killed Gregson or no?
I don't know. It's possible.
As you say, it was 10 years ago now that my employment at Barclay's chief warder came to an end.
I don't know.
Having left the prison service, I searched for some new occupation by which to earn a wage. But times were hard in London, and I found no suitable engagements at all. In desperation one day, I turned my hand at selling wares on Fresno Street. But your wife appears to know nothing of this. She still maintains that you are the chief warder at the Barclay prison. I was utterly determined that my wife should not know of my failings, which is why I never told her. I opened an account at the bank under the name of Hugh Boone, and I rented the cheapest room I could find on Fresno Street. The scene of the crime where we're investigating. Yes, that's right. A place from which I can emerge every morning at 8 as a squalid peddler. Squalid? Is that right?
Yeah, squalid.
And transform myself back every evening at 5 into a well-dressed man about town before returning home. That quickly became my daily routine, you see. So he's pretending to be homeless. I was puzzled by the lack of furniture in the room. But that explains it. But why on earth didn't you just tell us this in the first place? I have a wife, sir, and 2 sons. And without wishing to sound self-conceited, they regard me with such pride. I couldn't bring myself to disappoint them.
It's very noble.
Saddest violin plays. So instead, you decide to conceal your occupation from them? Yes. I've made such a terrible mess of everything. He's been doing it for 10 years.
Yeah.
Still, one thing doesn't add up. No matter how many tidbits of information you could sell to passing gentlemen, even at 6 pence apiece, you couldn't hope to match the salary you must have commanded as a chief warder at the prison. That's very true. What else are you doing? We've kept your family in comfort despite 10 years of somewhat misbegotten employment. Okay.
No jobs out there, I guess.
That was all thanks to Inspector Gregson. What? Inspector Gregson? What on earth? It was some years after I invented Boone and begun my other life as a street seller. He, the inspector, that is, recognized me one day. You mean to say the victim was an acquaintance of yours? I knew him from time working at the prison. When he saw what I'd become, he was deeply troubled for me and my family. From that day forward, he visited me on Fresno Street with increasing regularity.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh.
That's why he...
Then one day, he asked me if I could carry out a secret assignment for him. A secret? What was it? Well, I was to impersonate the inspector. What? Impersonate him? Okay, this is getting rather confusing. We always met in that little room so the inspector could brief me. I need you to visit tomorrow or take a statement from the proprietress. It was always something along those lines. Surveillance work, interviewing people. Oh, he was like a spy.
Mm-hmm.
He was undercover. On those occasions, he would lend me his identification so people would believe who I was. My instructions were to make an impression, to let people know that I, Inspector Gregson, had been at work. And for those services, he compensated me financially. The Scotland Yard Inspector willingly relinquished his identification to your care without intent to deceive? And as I'm sure I need to point out, this very serious criminal offense. But why? What was the point of your impersonating him? I truthfully do not know. All I can say is that the inspector warned me on numerous occasions. Oh boy. Now remember, Vigil, I need your solemn word. You don't go blab about this to anyone, alright? Ever. Even if I end up a crocker.
Even if he ends up dead.
Even if I end up dead. Oh, okay. That's
a
right.
croaker.
Croaker, okay.
Yeah. No, I was just... You didn't say anything.
No, you're fine. In time, he started to bring papers with him to the room as well. It became something of a second office for him. So, in fact, the person who declared himself to be Inspector Gregson at the park on Lime Street was really you. Yes, it was me, acting on the inspector's orders. As usual, I moved the Boone disguise, and then I went as instructed to the park, armed with the inspector's identification book. It never occurred to me that the bruise on my neck might give me away. So he's been undercover for years, working Gregson's dirtiest cases. Fascinating. Why wasn't he just employed as a police officer then?
I know. That would have been nice if he could have just told us.
I mean, I'm sure he could now. He's actually a pretty good detective. Unless, maybe that's how Gregson appeared as, you know, smart as he was. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I still think Gregson was very intelligent. Well, it would seem this confession completely destroys the defense's case. Huh? Explain yourself, Prosecutor Osogi. My learned friend's assertion was as follows. The victim was killed at another location on the day before his corpse was discovered, at the hands of those two red-headed League men when they imprisoned the inspector. But no, that can't be. After all, it wasn't the inspector who went to the park that day, it was me. Uh-oh.
Oh, goodness.
Finally, we have some clarity. We have nothing to do with the murder of this inspector. And merci, monsieur, defense for proving it. Nani! Well, that was something. Order! I'll have order in this court, please. Indeed, it would appear that we have reached a de facto conclusion of sorts. These witnesses had no involvement in murder of the victim, as proven somewhat ironically by the defense. I hereby call an end to the cross-examination. Uh-oh. That can't be good. Hold it! Who said hold it?
I don't know. Kazuma?
Pardon me, my lord, but with your permission, I would like to pose one further question to the witness. Kazuma! What question, Consul?
It's about 10 years ago.
It concerns the events of 10 years ago. I believe you would have been present at the very significant execution that was carried out at that time. 10 years ago? Oh, the execution of the professor! Genshin Asogi!
Oh my gosh.
I want to know exactly what your involvement was. Oh! Answer me, man! One moment, Consul! Is this related to the current case at all? Naturally. It is the prosecution's belief that this case and the events of 10 years ago are linked. Does the defense concur, Consul? Kazuma, you're not yourself. You're not as calm and collected as you usually are.
Poor Kazuma-sama. No wonder he's acting this way. Mr. Vigil's memories of what happened 10 years ago would tell me the tale of Genshin Asogi's last moments. His own father.
I know. I do understand that, but even so...
Order.
Prosecutor Asogi. Do you generally believe that this question requires an answer in order to learn the truth behind Inspector Gregson's death? I need you to trust me. Please.
I feel like if he says that he's the one who killed him, he's gonna lunge over the table and stab the guy.
Yep. Very well. Then the defense has no objection. I don't think that, Daily Vigil's a bad guy.
I think that that's the reason he left.
Yeah.
I think that something really bad happened and he couldn't bear to be there anymore and he left.
I think he helped the guy survive. I see.
Oh my gosh.
In that case, you will answer the question, witness. Because he was wearing a mask, I think they somehow faked the hanging by connecting the noose to the mask. So he wouldn't have died. And then he appeared dead. And then he got killed in the graveyard for real. To cover up everything. Yeah. In that case, you'll answer the question, witness.
Because he knew he was innocent.
The truth is...
He doesn't want to tell the truth.
I remember very little of that time.
Yeah, right.
You've forgotten? I'm sorry to say, yes. As I said, I resigned from my role at the prison 10 years ago. But for some peculiar reason, my memory of the events leading up to that moment is extremely hazy.
Why did he resign, though? Does that not strike you as strange, Mr. Naruhodo?
I'm sorry, what?
Well, 10 years is a long time.
Yeah.
But to have forgotten the reason why he left? Such an important job?
Yes, you're right. And not only that, Mr. Vigil's claim contradicts what we already know. The human spirit is a fragile thing. It's broken all too easily. I can attest to that. Which is why we have a tendency to wrap it up for our protection. Sorry? The human spirit? I'm afraid I don't understand what you mean. When we experience pain and suffering that we feel unable to bear, we block it out, obliterate it from our memories, seal it away. But it never truly leaves us. If the seal is broken, the memories resurface. And then, when they do, that fragile spirit may finally be crushed. But I really don't...
Kazuma-sama.
Oh my gosh, they're gonna connect this poor guy. But if it must be crushed, then so be it. Because the truth will not stay buried. It's coming out one way or another. Uh-oh.
Kazuma, you might make this guy start having...
Right. Now I understand. It's clear what his intentions are. He means to expose the truth at any cost.
Yeah, but this guy might have post-traumatic stress from it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he might start having an attack.
Perhaps if I pointed out the contradiction in what Mr. Vigil claimed earlier, it might cause some crucial memories to return to him. But should I? Should I present evidence or not? I mean, I guess do it. But you might break this poor guy. I have no idea how this is gonna go. But this is a court of law, and I have a duty to pursue the truth. Mr. Vigil, I'd like you to look at this, please. Evidence that clearly contradicts your version of the events. Dismissal notice.
Take that!
He said he left.
Just a few moments ago, you made the following statement. I resigned from my role at the prison 10 years ago. Well, yes, I did. In other words, you claim to have left the post of chief warder of your own volition? Well, yes, of course. Why? Tell me. Do you remember seeing this document before? No, I don't. This is a dismissal notice ordering the immediate termination of a prison staff member's employment. A dismissal notice? Yes, and the name on the notice is yours, Mr. Vigil. What? What? It's mine? So you didn't resign from the prison service at all?
You're gonna break him.
For some reason, you were dismissed as chief warder from Barclay. No, there's been a mistake. I'm sure I tendered my resignation. That dismissal notice is nonsense. Isn't it? If you were forcibly dismissed, there must have been good reason. Clearly, you did something. Mr. Vigil, it's time to break the seal and have you remember. It'd be cool if they had like a little Easter egg where they show like the chains breaking in the Ace Attorney like later games.
Yeah, the chains breaking. This is
the
actually
chains of memory
this
type
is
stuff.
Scary for me because
I don't think he killed anybody. I think he's just a pawn.
I think he tried to save the guy's life.
According to the few remaining records, the final execution that you supervised was on June 17th, 10 years ago. And on that day, something very serious took place at the prison. The 17th of June. Was that the professor's execution? Professor? As you were the chief warder at the time, it stands to reason that you would have been present throughout the proceedings. It does sound familiar. And yet, that execution never took place. The convict, executed earlier that day, later re-emerged from his grave. The convict came back to life? In the cemetery in the middle of the night, there was a witness.
However, the witness claims that a moment after he saw the convict clambering out of the grave, a gunshot rang out from over his shoulder, and the bullet pierced the professor's chest, killing him instantly.
Freaky.
Those may have been the professor's actual last moments.
Yes. Seeing as you were in charge of overseeing the executions at the time, you must know the truth about what really happened. It's in your head, somewhere deep down.
Kazuma.
You're gonna implicate this poor guy. Well, Chief Warder, Daily Vigil, I know there are memories in your head that can explain what happened on the 17th of June, 10 years ago. And now it's time for you to drag them up.
It's gonna be painful though.
Mr. Vigil.
Yeah, Drogo says post-traumatic stress wasn't a diagnosis at that time.
Yes.
Yeah, that must've been horrible.
The whole prison, it was complete chaos.
Yeah, he might have a heart attack. Exactly.
The prisoner escaped. He was killed in the cemetery. The shocking news ripped through Barclay like a hurricane. What? What? Order! Do you mean to say, Mr. Vigil, that your memories of the time have returned? My head, it's like some floodgates have been opened. The images, screams.
Oh my gosh. Why would you do this to this man?
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness.
The papers.
People forget things for a reason.
There were reports, articles about a man who'd seen a ghost. Yeah, that was Drebber. But surely those reports were exaggerated. There were traces at the scene.
Traces of what?
In Lowgate Cemetery at plot number 139, blood. Lots of blood. That's where the man was buried, of course. Obviously, something terrible had happened there. The depths of conspiracy and depravity from which the tale is emerging are quite staggering. I've reviewed the police records from that time extensively. A thorough investigation was conducted by Scotland Yard to ascertain how the convict managed to escape in the first place. And the conclusion reached by the investigation team was that a member of the prison staff must have been involved. Are you suggesting the prison warder abetted the man's bid for freedom?
Yes. Yes, and I was suspected of doing it. Of using that mass murderer's execution as a way to help him escape.
You did what?
I remember now. The horror of it all was coming back to me. One evening, a few days later, after the execution, some detectives came to the prison. I was called to the governor's office at the top of the watchtower.
I'm sorry, Daly. This is serious business, but I cannot help you now. A chief warder, you were responsible for overseeing the execution of 4, eh? Well, it seems the fellows at Scotland Yard want to have a few words with you about it. You better pack your things, laddie. You're to attend in person.
As soon as he told me that, my mind just went completely blank. And the next thing I knew, the professor, the most hated killer in our country's history, and I let him escape. I'm finished. My life is over.
Oh, so much screaming.
Did he let him escape on purpose?
Oh, he's gone.
Is he dead now? Thanks a lot, Kazuma.
Order! Order! Bailiff, fetch a doctor at once! You broke him.
Kazuma.
Court is adjourned for today with immediate effect. Get this man to a hospital.
So, with Mr. Vigil's collapse, proceedings came to an abrupt end for the day. Once again overshadowed by the legacy of that notorious killer, appearing like a cursed ghost ship on a foggy ocean.
Wow.
Lord Van Zeks, Mr. Vigil, Kazuma, and Gregson. All of them bound by invisible chains anchored to the same wreckage in the murky depths of the past. But the miraculous light that had been trying to cut through the gloom and shine on those tragic events was playing on the edges of the truth at last.
That's insane.
Well, I feel like the warden is a good person. So whatever he did, I feel like he did it for the right reasons. Whether he made a mistake or not, he had good intentions.
Well, I mean, isn't the statute of limitations over now, though, anyway? So, I mean, isn't he safe?
I mean, if there is a such thing as statute of limitations in that place. In old England. Yeah, after like 10 years, you can't really be tried for a crime you did, I don't think. Or I don't know when that, 14 years.
2nd of November, 3:38 p.m., Shom Suite. I still can't quite believe what just happened, Susie.
I know. I inquired with the bailiff after the court session was adjourned. And it seems Mr. Vigil was taken to the hospital to recover.
Right. 10 years ago now, Mr. Vigil attempted to commit suicide by jumping off the window of the prison governor's office. But ever since then, he's completely blocked the memory of those events from his mind.
Wait, he tried to commit suicide?
Nobody knew his secret, not his family, not even the man himself, but I forced it out of him in the open. Was it wrong of me to do that? Did I overstep the mark? I wonder.
I'm sorry, but that was actually Kazuma's fault.
Wow. Oh.
Ryuno!
Oh. Iris, hi.
You were miles away. Anyway, I brewed a fresh pot of soothing tea for you.
Oh, thank you.
You and Susie have an exhausting day so far, haven't you?
Oh! Thank you, Iris. How thoughtful of you.
Do you
do you happen to know where Sholmes is today? When we came out of the courtroom back into the defendant's antechamber, he had disappeared.
Oh no, I don't know. He just suddenly sprang to his feet and left. All he said was, I must leave.
He's probably going to go investigate something.
I wonder if he's pursuing the mystery of Inspector Gregson's death.
Well, you know what Hallie was saying, do you? There are many mysteries in this world that should perhaps never be solved.
Huh?
For the construction of a solution comes only at the expense of the destruction of something else.
What does that even mean?
He knows very well, but when you open someone else's old wounds, you often open your own too.
I bet just so many people are connected to this case to the past. Right, Zelda?
No, but you shouldn't really do that to a guy. Like, memories can actually cause you actual pain because you're like reliving them with post-traumatic stress. So all the pain and suffering that you experience, you have to experience it again. It's just, I feel like it's very wrong to do that to somebody.
Well, he just can't take his own advice, and I leave well alone. Solving memories is too important for him.
That's so true.
But that's what I like about Harley, after all.
I suppose that's a lot of great detective in some ways, yeah. Okay.
So then, let's have tea, and then I'll give you a hand.
Oh, do you have time, Iris?
Yes, I finished this month's manuscript at last, with barely a day to spare before the deadline.
Oh, they can eat now.
Oh, I'm so looking forward to it. A brand new story to read in the adventures of Sherlock Holmes.
You know, I always hide Harley's violin in the days before I have a deadline.
You do? Poor Mr. Sholmes.
I'm sure that's very wise, Iris. How sensible of you.
Is it really?
Now then, my dear fellows, let's make a plan of action before we continue on our investigation.
On plan of action?
Kelly says, love this series. Thanks, Kelly.
Thank you.
Thanks for being a member, Kelly. Great to see you.
This morning's trial.
VG says he tried to commit suicide. Oh, wow.
So how did it go in court this morning, then?
Well, we still don't know the truth about what really happened, but one thing's increasingly clear. Lord Van Zieks definitely didn't do it.
Oh, goody! Yes, that's right. We managed to uncover several new facts as well.
Oh, really?
And there was another development too. Kazuma.
Yes, it's quite clear now that Kazuma-sama is not himself. The way he's acting, it's almost as if he's possessed.
I know, right? I mean, at the end of the proceedings earlier, he was like a bloodhound the way he was chasing down Mr. Vigil's forgotten past. He's not normally so mercilessly persistent like that. What's going on in his head, I wonder? I really need to sit down with Kazuma and try to understand what he's going through.
Sorry,
You're gonna be able to do Grandia?
I have coffee here.
Okay. Reaper's innocent. If Gregson was really murdered the day before his body was discovered, then Lord Van Zieks has to be innocent, you see.
What? The day before? Oh, well that should be easy enough to work out just by examining the corpse, surely.
Yes, you would expect so, but curiously, no time of death was included in the autopsy report.
That is curious.
There are still unanswered questions about Lord Van Zieks, though, aren't there?
Ah, do you mean?
I mean, what was he doing there on Fresno Street that day in the first place?
Well, according to the man's testimony, he said he was investigating Inspector Gregson, didn't he?
And it turns out that little room was actually the inspector's secret office.
Oh, that sounds like it has all the makings of a wonderfully devilish plot.
But then, why was the notice board in there covered in all those particular papers? Papers about cases with links to the Reaper. I'm starting to get a very bad feeling about all this.
Oh dear, that sounds more like something horribly devilish.
We must start by looking into the Inspector Gregson's movements of late.
Gregson's movements. I never imagined I might have to be investigating an inspector's movements.
Well, according to the entry in his diary, he was carrying out incognito investigation of the Red-Headed League on the day before his death.
Oh, you mean he was doing the same as Hurley was?
Well, Mr. Sholmes was trying to apply, whereas the inspector was supposed to be investigating.
I do wish it had been the other way around.
Anyway, as it turns out, the inspector who went to investigate the Red-Headed League that day wasn't actually Gregson at all. It was Mr. Vigil in possession of Gregson's identification.
You know what that sounds like to me? Establishing an alibi.
Oh my, yes, you're absolutely right, Iris.
But why would Gregson need an alibi?
It would appear that the inspector had something to do with what he wished to keep a secret.
I don't believe it. I always thought he was just a harmless lover of fish and chips.
Perhaps they were seasoned with something a little more potent than salt and vinegar.
I think perhaps we should try to move away from food analogies.
Well, anyway, if Lord Van Zieks felt the need to investigate Gregson...
Yes, I agree. We must try to find out what he knows. Yeah, we need to ask Van Zieks, like, why were you investigating Gregson? We need to know.
Vigil, you say? Isn't that the name of the lady who came to visit Harley yesterday?
That's right, Iris. To ask Mr. Sholmes if he would help her to find her missing husband.
Only Mr. Sholmes completely passed the buck to us. Actually, didn't you say that Mr. Vigil had been taken to the hospital? Do you know which one?
Ah, it's St. Sinner's Hospital.
I'm starting to wonder if all the other hospitals in London have closed down. We've been there quite a bit.
But that's amazing, Ryuno. a lady's husband already.
Well, I suppose I have by accident.
And 10 years ago, when Mr. Vigil was the chief warder at the prison, he was responsible for overseeing the professor's incarceration.
No!
So when the convict escaped, he was held responsible and immediately dismissed.
Sometimes I really don't want to grow up.
There's more. For 10 years after that, while he was working as a peddler, he also had another secret job. He was paid by Gregson to be a stand-in to impersonate the inspector for important cases.
To impersonate Gregsy? But why?
Alibi.
I have absolutely no idea.
Alibi! I think it's because of an alibi.
You think Gregson was really the Reaper?
I think every time he killed somebody, that was the time he gave his papers to the other guy. And then he told the guy to tell somebody that he was an inspector investigating something so that if he ever got put on the stand, he could always be like, I was witness to being in this area and I told them I was the inspector and they saw my papers.
Oh my gosh. Wow, that would be...
Dark.
Okay.
I don't know.
Guinea was right. I'm starting to think all these adults are up to no good. Including you, Runo.
I haven't paid anyone to impersonate me.
How dare you, Runo?
That means he has ties to the professor and to the Inspector Gregson, though. No, I do think we ought to pay a visit to Mr. Vigil, don't you?
Back to Saint Sinners then, huh? Okay, I guess we can do that.
I don't know. I mean, if I was going to go murdering people, I would definitely try to hire somebody to pretend to be me as an alibi.
Okay, all right.
Well, I think it's clear what we need to do, isn't it? Let us investigate, my dear fellows.
Oh, you're coming with us?
Oh, Iris, you're even more enthusiastic than usual today. If anyone has anything to hide, my special...
if anything has anything to hide, my special Wilson shooting iron will soon set them straight.
That... water pistol?
It's stuff full of piping hot extra special blendamide tea.
Then I'm quite sure will be very effective, Iris.
Ouch! I better be careful not to hide anything.
She's gonna shoot people with scalding tea.
Well, it feels a little strange that Mr. Sholmes is nowhere to be seen, but still, let's go and see what we can find out, shall we?
Yes!
Yes, we shall.
Alright, so Iris is coming with.
Sorry
Okay.
for being dark.
Let's go to the hospital then.
I recommend that Amber should say allegedly for legal purposes. Oh, right. If I was going to be murdering people, allegedly.
Uh-huh. Yep. 2nd of November, St. Sinners Hospital Ward number 3. It's the same room! They're just reusing the same backdrop. Yeah.
Yep.
There's nobody here.
Maybe they only have one room in the entire hospital, Luke.
There's nobody here.
Wait, look at the note. Observe
Okay.
the note.
Alright, I guess we'll look around the room. These must be the patient's treatment notes. Let's see. Tendency to jump from windows. Remember to place cushion at base of wall outside. What?
Oh my gosh.
Aren't we a story up from the ground here? Oh my.
Oh dear. Poor Mr. Vigil.
I can't help feeling that there's a better solution to the problem than a cushion, but okay. Finding something you lost isn't always a happy experience, it turns out. Pursuing the truth can be a very dark business sometimes, can it?
Yes, I'm afraid it can.
Okay, well, that's weird.
Oh wow, yeah, Iris was born during the time of the professor killings.
Yep. This
Well-
notice caught my eye before, actually.
I suppose it's some sort of slogan for the ward. A cheerful welcome message, perhaps.
Let's see. Pay with good cheer, leave with good cheer. Well, look at that. We're spot on, Miss Susie. It's full of cheer.
I wonder how many discharged patients pay their medical bills with good cheer, though.
Once I had a very painful injection when I fell ill with a cold. I felt awfully ready, so why did I have to suffer the sting of the injection as well as the bill? I yelled at the doctor.
Oh, Oh dear, Mr. Naruhodo. What terrible treatment.
Okay. Medicine cabinet. There are all sorts of medicines in this cabinet. Look! I'm not sure if it's safe leaving them in the reach of everyone like this, though.
Yes, you're right. I can imagine if you were peckish, you might try some of the pills.
Oh my. Well, at least there seems to be a little lock there to secure the cabinet door, right?
I don't imagine that would stop you if you were hungry. I worry that you'd break the lock.
Hunger doesn't turn me into a criminal, you know, Miss Susie. Well, there's nobody here.
Sorry for being dark.
Ember, you tend to be dark, honey.
I'm just trying to put myself in the position of if I were the killer, what would I do?
Ah, patient treatment notes. What do these say, I wonder? Endless obliging. I suppose that's referring to the patient in this bed?
I would think so. And until Mr. Vigil is a little more stable, it's possible just as well that he has a kind person in the neighboring bed.
The endless part is a little worrying, though, isn't it? I mean, what if Mr. Vigil suddenly declared that he'd like to take a trip out of the window? Would this endlessly, obliging patient simply open it for him and say, "Be my guest, sir"?
Let's check with the doctor later.
Okay.
I don't know what she's trying to say.
I have no Japanese humor. There are lots of bottles in that cabinet there, aren't there? Do you think it's safe to keep them there?
If you were a patient here, I feel sure you'd take some medicine by mistake when you were half asleep.
That is a worry, but at least the cabinet has a lock, even if it's only a flimsy-looking one.
Oh, I've no doubt you'd manage to unlock that somehow while you were half asleep as well.
There are limits even to what I can do when I'm half asleep, you know, Susie? Okay. There's crutches here. Ah, look, a pair of crutches. Before we came to Britain, I hadn't realized they were used here as well. Why wouldn't they?
I imagine that they were imported to Japan from Great Britain in the first place.
Oh, so no one in all of Japan broke a leg before their arrival? Anyway, the sight of these things doesn't bring back good memories for me.
Oh dear, did you injure yourself once and need to use some?
When I was little, I thought they looked like fun, so I borrowed a pair to play with. But then I slipped and sprained my ankle.
I see.
They contain powerful magic, those wooden staffs. The power to heal and the power to harm.
I think a certain cheeky little boy managed to cause the harm all by himself.
Objection! Okay, so there's nothing else in this room. I really thought we'd be able to talk to the person here, but there's nobody here. Alright, so what do we have to move somewhere else now. Let's try going to the prison.
Okay. Let's ask what's his name, why he wasn't investigating Drake.
Bingo!
Gregson.
There we go. There we go.
I don't want to think Drake Gregson, but all the keys are pointing to him being the killer. There's no way. It would be so easy for him to do it. Lord Van Zeks is reading. Look.
He doesn't seem like he wants visitors, does he?
But he must have noticed that we're here, surely. I have noticed. I don't care. I'm busy reading. What? What do you Nipponese want now, and little girls? There's no way to greet your lawyer who's trying his hardest to prove your innocence, is it? I don't care. Perhaps not, but I'm rude. Huh? I apologize. So what can I do for you, Mr. Naruhodo?
Lord Van Zeks, speaking earnestly.
Still freaks me out.
Oh, the folk will lift over London for the first time in months tomorrow.
This does feel very, 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 very strange.
What earth are we on?
I must say I was impressed in the courtroom today. Oh? Well, thank you. Not by you, by your fellow Nipponese, your prosecutor friend. Oh, I see, yeah, him.
Yeah, Gregson was like a dad to Iris, that's true.
It's
a little bit.
sardonic, don't you think? For a man such as me, so loathing of the Nipponese, to be entirely at the mercy of the two of you. I suppose. It's a retribution for having played the part of the Reaper all these years. Played the part?
What?
Okay, can we talk to him about some
What
stuff?
does that even mean, dude?
You once told me that you gladly allowed people to believe you were the Reaper, because it helped reduce the amount of serious crime that took place in London. If keeping quiet and playing the part befits the cause myself, I'm committed to pursuing. That didn't come out right. Then why would I choose to say anything? But the henchman of a criminal killed by the Reaper attacked you only the other day. And that was just the most recent of many attempts on your life, wasn't it? Someone is clearly profiting from the silence about all this. Someone is using you. Believe me, ever since the Reaper first appeared, I've been doing my utmost to expose him. Or rather, expose the organization. Organization?
Ah, it's a whole organization?
It's inconceivable that all these accidents were orchestrated by one man. Interesting. No, the Reaper always appears to have a very accurate information about the accused and in each case. Oh, darn.
Bless you.
It was a hiccup. Which can only mean that somebody at Scotland Yard is involved.
Someone at... You can't mean...
It's taken me many years, but I finally identified the central figure in this Reaper organization. Tobias Gregson.
No!
Gregson, the Reaper?
Da-da-da.
Really? Well, I guess you were right, Amber. So the reason you were investigating Inspector Gregson is because you intended to expose him as the Reaper? As I said, the Reaper of the Bailey is no single person. It's a highly secret organization with close ties to Scotland Yard. But there's no doubt that Gregson was a key member of that organization. Wow.
I don't believe it.
Are you saying that Gregsy, that he was behind all those awful criminals meeting the...
Gregson didn't do the dirty work himself, no.
Oh.
He was the tactician. His job was to covertly investigate the marks and plot their assassinations.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. In order to do that without arousing suspicion, he regularly needed a firm alibi. Oh, there you go, Amber.
Oh.
Which is where Mr. Vigil came in, posing as the inspector. Vigil knows nothing of the Reaper, but the room he rents on Fresno Street was almost certainly the headquarters of that operation. Gregson would have met the assassin there for briefings. So we don't actually know who carried out the killings then? Actually, I do have a name. You what? Susie.
Well, if you can name the man, you have the true identity of the Reaper already, then...
Or, if I can name the woman.
Oh!
She's a young woman by the name of... Assassin. Wait, what? Sin?
Sin or Shin?
Jezebel? The true name of the terrifying killer I know only too well. But that's impossible. She came to Japan posing as a visiting student and murdered Dr. John H. Wilson. Then, just when it seemed like diplomacy and protection would help her escape Japan and conviction,
The mysterious woman was herself murdered in a small summer beach hut. And that woman was actually the Reaper of the Bailey? What?
But...
How?
Mr. Naruhodo, this perhaps isn't the place to discuss.
No, of course not. We can't mention it here. The fact that she killed Dr. John H. Wilson, because Iris doesn't know, and it's very likely the man was her father,
What? What, Runa? What are you saying?
Asa-shin, I should let my father know at once.
Yeah, I agree. How? But she's been dead for 6 months.
Yeah, so how did that other guy die?
Kazuma, isn't it? Kazuma Asogi. He says he's your friend, yes?
My best friend, actually. He's the whole reason I came to Britain. It was all on his merits. I have nothing but respect for him.
Yes, I understand that only the very best students are selected for such opportunities. And I had a fine demonstration of how sharp he is in the proceedings earlier today. He missed nothing. In fact, his flawless performance very much reminded me of his father.
Genshin Asogi? The professor?
It's true that the royalty at the time was the root of numerous grave societal problems. They were abusing their power, playing with the common man as pawns in politics, economics, and war. In many ways, Asogi was carving out a canker from the society that we British couldn't deal with ourselves.
I see.
But that's precisely why it makes no sense. Clint Van Zeks was a noble and upstanding man. He wasn't corrupt. Why did Why did he have to kill my brother, take his life?
I don't know. Maybe he didn't.
In spite of having once saved mine.
He saved your life? How did that happen?
Whoa.
Okay, this doesn't seem like he did kill his brother.
This is getting really weird.
Maybe your brother was corrupt.
It was 10 years ago on a foggy night.
I don't believe so, no. I think his brother was innocent, just like the inspector, or the guy who was killed, the brother of, Wait, wasn't the brother of Edgeworth also a lawyer who was
The
killed?
dad was.
Oh, okay.
His dad was a lawyer and killed, I thought.
I thought there was a prosecutor who was...
Was there a brother also?
I thought there was a prosecutor who was killed that, Edgeworth looked up to or something? I don't remember.
I don't know, dude.
What was to be the professor's final strike had sent a wave of panic through the capital.
So Clint Van Zeks had already been killed at this point then.
Gregson and I were walking down some back streets at a late hour. Of course, at the point, I had no idea of the true nature of the man at my side. All of a sudden...
Don't make a peep. You're coming with us.
We were surrounded. All of our assailants were armed with pistols, their faces obscured by scarves. Clint was not only from a noble heritage, he was a brilliant prosecutor as well. The scum of London hated the sight of him, and they had no sympathy for his younger brother either, me. I had been targeted several times before already, late into the night.
Yeah, it's Van Zeks, alright, we got him.
Wow.
I could hear the murmuring amongst themselves. I knew they were after me. But just when I thought my time had come...
If I let them kill you, Clint would never forgive me.
It was Asogi's voice, just a whisper in my ear. Bang!
Wait, he did that for Clint.
No, you saved Van Zeks.
I know.
After that, I don't remember exactly what happened.
But he said...
The next thing I knew, there was silence all around. Genshin lay on the cobbled street. Blood was seeping from his left hand. He'd shielded me. Two days later, they arrested him on suspicion of being London's most notorious mass murderer ever, the Professor.
How awful for you!
All at once, I lost the brother I revered, and the foreign friend I held in such high regard.
I'm so sorry, Lord Van Zeeks. Wow, that's a lot to take in.
That's the end of my miserable tale. I never thought I'd recount it to anyone, especially to you.
Well, thank you for confiding in me.
I don't care, whatever.
The Professor, the Reaper, and the Inspector Gregson. I wonder just how intimately related they all are.
I still can't believe that Gregson was essential. That Gregson essentially might have been the Reaper. Given assassination orders to Jazeel Brett?
Maybe he was giving unassassination orders. Maybe he was trying to stop the Reaper.
I don't know.
Mr. Naruhodo, let's go and inform my father. I'm sure our government will want to hear about this new information.
Oh, that means I get to meet your daddy, Susie. Hooray!
Yeah, alright. Let's head back to the Great Hotel then. Does he have anything else to say?
He's just staring.
Nope, he's just staring at us. Alright, so let's go to the hotel then.
So, I know, but he said, Luke, Van Zeeks said that that Kazuma's dad said Clint would never forgive me if I don't save his younger brother. So
either he felt guilt over killing Clint, or he never killed Clint.
Yeah, exactly. Like, maybe he cares about Clint. Maybe he was his friend. Maybe he didn't kill Clint.
Probably not. I mean, he was a member of Scotland Yard, technically, because he was a police officer from Japan.
Yeah.
But also, there were Victorian-era shows, or, you know, manga and other things, where they had police officers who had the... society was so corrupt and police were so corrupt that, you know, people would take justice into their own hands.
Yeah, like vigilantes or
yeah,
whatever.
so he could have been a vigilante killer. We don't know, though. The 2nd of November, the Great Waterloo Hotel foyer.
Oh, maybe that was why in that first case they were covering for her. Maybe they were in on it. She was killing people for the police.
I don't know.
I thought it was yesterday, and I think it again today. This place is so princely.
That's Susie.
Oh, darn it. I thought it was yesterday, and I think it again today. This place is so princely.
It's a wild guess, but I have a feeling you'll think the same tomorrow, too.
My tea has a finer fragrance than whatever they're serving in the tea room here, though. Wouldn't you say?
Ah, look who we have here. Ah, this is an unexpected pleasure.
There he is.
Ah, Father!
Oh, it's your daddy, Susie. How lovely.
What a charming young lady. And you are?
Probably your daughter, dude.
Really? So you're the author of The Adventures of Mr. Herlock Sholmes, are you?
That's me, Iris Wilson, at your service, sir. Susie's been such a wonderful friend to me over the last year, you know.
Well, Miss Wilson, I must say I read your work regularly with so much interest.
Iris actually lives with Mr. Sholmes, you know, Father.
Is that so? Well, perhaps that goes some way to explaining the bright look in your eyes. Ha 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 ha.
You wouldn't be smiling so airily if you knew just how bright she is, believe me.
Now then, young Naruhodo, it was a pleasure seeing you in action earlier. As an invitee of the symposium, I was allowed to observe from the gallery. After I twisted some arms, I must say, it was truly exemplary performance.
Oh, well, thank you very much, sir. Though I'm fairly sure you omitted by Kazuma in the end there.
No, please don't misunderstand. It was you who impressed me.
Really?
You didn't miss a step against Asogi, and we all know how capable he is.
Really, to have matured into such a fine defense lawyer in less than a year is quite extraordinary. It's very kind of you to say so, sir. And really nice to hear. Remember, they can read minds. So, And what I saw in court today confirmed what I had been hoping for. The favor I mentioned yesterday, Naruhodo. I trust you haven't forgotten? You did mention something, didn't you?
But first, we have something to report, Father.
Oh, of course, of course. Shall we take tea while we discuss matters further? I wonder where the judges got to.
Judge Goku.
Goku, or whatever.
Goku Judge!
Goku?
Where's Goku?
Probably hanging out with Master Roshi. About the Reaper.
Father, do you know about the so-called Reaper of the Bailey?
I've heard rumors. Some members of the justice system explained it to me all yesterday. Of course, when I was visiting student here in London, the Reaper has yet to emerge. Right, he didn't appear until after the case when the visiting students had already returned home. Lord Van Zeks was in the dock today. That was Barrack, the younger brother of Clint, I believe.
That's right, and he's known throughout London as the Reaper, as you've heard. But the truth is, it wasn't him behind all those mysterious deaths. It was someone else.
I see. So what you're saying is there's been a professional killer at work here? Exactly. Someone by the name of Assassin, in fact. I beg your pardon? Did you just say Assassin? You mean that Jazeel Brett woman who was responsible for killing my great friend?
Oh no! A friend of yours was killed!
Professor Mikotoba, I think perhaps we shouldn't discuss this right now. Because the friend the professor is talking about is Dr. H. Wilson. And that's not something we want little Iris to know about. Not like this, anyway. But you're gonna talk about it.
Yep, he is. Ah! I've just remembered something. I have something in the oven. Biscuits! This hotel has the most delicious looking biscuits.
That was rather out of the blue, dear.
Changing subject.
She's doing this deliberately.
I think I will go and see if I can purchase some. I wonder, would you like to come too, Iris?
Oh, yes! Just try it and leave me behind, Susie. I'm coming right after you.
So, that young girl is called Iris Wilson, is she? Yeah, that's right. And she's the author of all those adventure stories starring the great Detective Sholmes. But the name of the credited author isn't Iris, is it? It's Dr. John H. Wilson. Yeah, I know. That's the name of her father, you see. Her father? Dr. John H. Wilson. I was deeply indebted to the man for all the kindness he had showed me during my time in London. That's why I was keen to reciprocate and invite him to the Imperial Yumi University 4 years ago. But he was murdered last year by Jazeel Brett. Why? Why would the hand of the Reaper stretch all the way to Japan? Iris knows nothing about the case, by the way, but it seems very likely that the victim, Dr. Wilson, was her father. Well, I can't say that we ever spoke about his family, so I don't know if he had a daughter or not. But I think I can say with some certainty that he was never the great detective's partner. So, it could have been another Dr. Wilson, you think? Well, John and Wilson are both common names, after all. He's Watson! He's Watson!
He's feeling very uncomfortable. When you asked him, he said I can say from some certainty that he's not his partner. There's only one person who would know if he wasn't his partner, and that would be the person who is his partner. Interesting. Still, it's probably best not to mention this to the young lady until we can be sure, of course. That's what we thought, yeah.
We're back! With cinnamon biscuits!
Oh, they smell delicious, Iris! You just appeared out of nowhere!
Did we miss anything?
you're right, Iris.
Okay, where's the judge at? I haven't seen Judge Goku for a while, have you? Guilty! But that guilty is still ringing in my ears. Oh, no. Now that you mention it, I haven't seen him since this morning either. I suppose since the symposium's opening was postponed, he'll have gone to explore, the great exhibition.
That reminds me of something you mentioned yesterday, Father. About Judge Goku having once been in the dock himself.
Ah, yes. It was all tied up with that accursed trial. The closed trial of Kazuma's dad. Shishiro was trying to mitigate Genshin's guilt, so he took the stand to testify. But he got a little carried away and, actually managed to break the witness stand.
Oh my!
He also said some contemptuous words about the British Empire, for which he was charged. Oh dear. Although it's worryingly easy to imagine him doing that. Well, it was all right in the end. He was acquitted, and we returned home to Japan together.
Yeah, but...
Your friend didn't.
Thank goodness.
Ah, yes. Talking of Shishiro, I have a copy of a photograph we all took together here yesterday. Please.
Oh, what a lovely picture!
It certainly seems to shout, "We've arrived in Britain!" The commemorative photo has been entered into the court record. None of us had any idea what was coming when we took that, did we?
No! That's so true!
Okay, the favor. So you mentioned a favor that you'd like to ask me. Well, this fateful trial that you're fighting, one way or another, it will be over before long. And when it is, I'd like you to accompany back to Japan. You want me to...
What? Oh!
Father, what's the meaning of this?
Now, Susie, you should understand. You've seen our courts work firsthand. Japan's judicial system is in its infancy, especially when it comes to defense.
Oh, you mean...
The Supreme Court is in desperate need of a good defense lawyer. As soon as possible. Really quite urgently, in fact. But I'm not even been in London a year yet. I've read all of Susie's reports. I'm well aware of your extraordinary talents. And having seen you in action with my own eyes earlier today, there's no question. You, Naruhodo, are precisely the man our country needs. What?
So, you'd be leaving then, Birdo?
But then, what am I supposed to do, Father?
You came here to serve as Asogi's judicial assistant. Oh yeah, she's supposed to be Kazuma's assistant, not mine. Our government is still in the process of deciding how best to deal with this situation, though.
Oh.
You've always chosen your own path, Susie, and I trust your judgment in this matter also.
Father!
Please, the pair of you don't look so downcast. It's merely a suggestion, you understand? I hope, if I'm honest. But I won't force you. All I ask is that you consider it, and come to a decision by the time this trial concludes. Yeah, all right.
You won't leave, will you, Ryuno?
Oh my gosh. The thought hadn't even crossed my mind yet. Up until now, I've just been trying to do what I believe to be Kazuma's will. But it turns out that he's still alive, so... where does that leave me? That's a very good question. Well, if you'll excuse me now, I need to telegram government ministers and the Japanese police with this information about Asa Sin.
Of course, Father. Thank you.
I look forward to next month's installment, Miss Wilson.
Oh, good, and please, do come to Baker Street sometime, won't you? We love to entertain you.
I would be delighted. The best of luck for tomorrow, Naruhodo. And give my suggestion of your full consideration, won't you?
Yes, I will, sir. Going back home, huh?
Wow.
You know, Kazuma-sama has always meant a great deal to my father. I'm sure he'd love the chance to meet with him and talk with him about all of this.
Yeah, no doubt.
Kazuma's a little crazy right now, though.
Yeah.
Assassin.
Of course. It's so obvious.
How could I have neglected to consider the possibility before now? Mr. Sholmes!
Holly, where have you been? Oh,
Why, I joined you all for tea, of course. What an extraordinary question.
I didn't notice you at all.
No matter, no matter. Anyway, to be more pressing concerns, Mr. Naruhodo.
Yes?
I must dispatch a telegram to your country at once. It is a matter of most urgency.
To Japan, you mean?
Tell me, to whom may I, entrust the task? Quickly now, who?
Well, my father just now left to send a telegram to the Imperial Bureau of Japan himself.
I see. Well, he looked reliable enough for a bearded fellow.
I don't think what father's sports could be considered a beard, Mr. Sholmes.
There's not a moment to lose. Kindly ask your untrusted unshaven father to, see this sent.
I will, but what is it?
No questions at this time, if you please, Miss Susie. All we can do is pray that for once, my deduction is awry.
Doesn't that imply that your deductions are normally correct, Mr. Sholmes? Which isn't exactly...
Now then, you may be surprised to learn that I'm a very busy man. I certainly have no time to hide behind,
Setes
and eavesdrop on other people's conversations.
So that's why joining us for tea meant. Okay.
I leave the sending of this in your hands then, my dear fellows.
Wow. Whoa, wait a minute, Mr. Sholmes.
oh, he just sort of ran off, didn't he? At quite a pace.
And he left the unpaid bill for his tea behind, too.
Sholmes!
It's like a sete. I think it's like basically a foot. What is that things that you put your feet on?
I don't know. It's old English.
It's a foot. You put your feet on it. It's near a couch. It's a furniture item.
Yeah, a furniture item that they haven't used since the Victorian era. I know.
I must catch up with father at the telegraph office at once.
In America, we call those things stools. Or footstools.
Yeah. I was gonna call it foot warmer. I can't remember what
No,
it's
it's not a foot warmer.
I must catch up with father at the telegraph office at once.
They were very common in the early, not the turn of the century. My grandparents had footstools for a while, but they got rid of them by like the 90s because nobody had them anymore. It didn't really matter. It was like, I remember using a footstool to watch television by resting my head against it on the floor, and then having my, Portuguese grandma come over and yell at me for sitting too close to the TV. So then I would devise a way to, position my head on it and watch TV from far away. But still, she would come over and say things in Portuguese to me about, putting my head on a footstool. So, but yeah, they're not really a normal thing that much anymore. We didn't even have any footstools with our couch that we bought in 2012. Like, they didn't even have an option for them.
I must catch up with father at the telegraph office at once.
And I ride and call us a cab straight away.
And there was me thinking everyone would be clamoring to pay Mr. Sholmes' bill. I get stuck with it. Okay, I think this is a good place. This is a good place to stop today, because we don't know what's going to happen next, but the game is afoot. There's a lot of mysterious stuff going on, and the story just gets more and more exciting. So we're just gonna, whoops, we'll save here, I suppose? Yeah. It's always good to make 2 save files just in case the internet gets all...
And Ryunosuke paid for everything.
Ryunosuke pays for everything. Ryunosuke paid for the fireworks, he paid for the information from the peddler.
That's right,
He paid for the cab ride. He also got hit with the bill last time when Susie went back to Japan because of all the commotion the cab thing, you know, caused. But anyway, people, that's it. That's all. Thank you so much for watching Ace Attorney. Around 8 o'clock will be, I believe, Grandia, followed by the Marvel game, but I'm not sure. I need to check with our Ultimate member, Mandracos, and see if he's able to do it tonight. If not, then probably the Marvel stream will be moved earlier. If you guys haven't seen already, please support the short that went up today. YouTube is doing some weird stuff by, like, really penalizing us for not, like... Before it was kind of like a separate algorithm, and now it seems to be all connected. And they're, like, just really hammering us hard. The shorts are very important for the channel, so they need to get a certain amount of views every day. Because it was actually helping. If they get lower or about the same as live streams, then it's really going to impact us financially over time. So it's just like 50 seconds of your time. Like and share those shorts. Watch them every day if you can. Rewatch them because if you watch a couple shorts, it would only be a few minutes of your time. So, all right, guys. And also, if you have ideas for shorts, let us know on the shorts videos themselves, like what you want to see. We're very thankful to Anna and Garrett and a bunch of other people for, you know, helping us out with shorts, and we've created quite a few. But anyway, thank you so much, Capcom, for providing a copy of this game. We'll continue more of the investigation tomorrow, or the trial. I don't really know how things are going to go just yet, but things are getting very, very interesting. See you guys in a little bit with your next live stream. I just need to find out what it's going to be. All right, guys. God bless and happy gaming. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.
See ya.